Hi guys, I'm standing between you and the glass of wine. So I want to apologize for that. I didn't pick this slot, it was given to me. I'm carrying too many things in my hand. This is my way to remind you about the beautiful brands I sell: Insurance, Momentum, Metropolitan, Multiply. I want to put these cards down. So I'm excited to see that there's a lot of common themes in what's going on today. I'm going to tell a story about the experience I've had when I reflected on what to share today. I thought actually the insights I could bring would be based on the discussions in the boardroom, the interaction between client and agency as we look to deliver amazing social content. So I've had the pleasure of working on a couple of amazing brands, but the last two jobs, my current and my previous one, have actually imparted a lot of knowledge and memorable experiences to me. I've finished repositioning Standard Bank. I'm the lady behind What's Your Next with my team, and we learned a lot of things, so you'll see some of those learnings coming through in the conversation. And currently, I have just repositioned Metropolitan and Momentum. I'm sure some of you would have seen the sperm and the egg on a billboard. I'm behind that, and my team, we've done some crazy stuff. So we're gonna talk about how we've actually balanced social engagement and brand relevance in those processes, and I'll share other case studies. To summarize, the question I've asked myself is, how do we actually get the balance and the sweet spot? Because there is the job of turning around a brand, getting the business to grow or shift and perceptions to shift, but then there's also the job of entertaining the audience and getting noticed and breakthrough in the clatter. It's not easy to get the balance, and usually I'm sure some of you would have experienced really heated debates and frustrations. Sometimes you walk away from a meeting and you cannot believe that your client or your team has, not approved one of your most amazing concepts. I'm happy to say that I've had those scenarios too, and working with our digital agency, VML, we thought, let's just think about what the barriers have been for us. Where have we had the tension? And what have we learned, and what are we trying to do differently going forward? The way that I decided to look at content in this case has been to just think about communications generally, because the silos of, is it television, is it radio, is it print, is it digital, actually just lives in our heads. When you see a TV ad and then you're going to talk about it on social, you've made it social. When you hear a radio ad and you are impressed by what the concept is, you're going to talk about it on Facebook, you've made it social. So just, I wanted to say that I'm looking at content without the media barriers. So the first enemy I want to talk about is the enemy of fear, which I encourage my team to turn into bravery. I thought when we were talking about this, the idea that some brands have incredible and powerful narratives, purpose statements, bullseyes, whatever you have, whatever you call it. And actually some brands have an amazing role to play in our communities. But then try and take the beautiful purpose to a boardroom and the company that expects you to drive sales and leads and not deviate too much from what's been for the last 20 years in terms of the tone of the brand. That requires, to kind of push through that tension, requires bravery. Working on with MMI, we have a property that we call the biggest board meeting. Not sure if you guys are familiar with the property. It's basically about getting government and corporates and entrepreneurs into a room and kind of unpacking what's going on economically and politically in the country. We asked ourselves, how do we show up this year in a way that would be different? And working with big agencies and PR agencies, we thought we have to find and unlock an insight It's not enough to put a banner. It's not enough to have speakers. It's not enough to have a powerful MC and then be at the Sandton Convention Center. How do we want the conversation to happen this year? And I remember when I asked that question, the guys had to go and think about stuff, and the insight came back, and I said, politically, what's the elephant in the room? What is the elephant in the room? And as MMI, can we participate in that? So we had the gift of the opening of Parliament. The president said, send me to Mamina. You remember that? And inspired by Huma Sigela. Now imagine that the aha, they're like, oh my God, the president has said South Africans and corporates must participate in shaping the economy differently. And then MMI, conservative insurance, let's not participate in politics. But we wanted to break through the clutter and to get people to tweet and talk to us about what's going on economically, particularly with youth employment. So the insight then became that if the call to South Africans is that we want the government is saying, or the president is saying, participate, as MMI, let's raise our hand and say, count us in. And literally the hashtag became, count us in. And the team then said, could we write an open letter to the president as MMI? At that point, I'm like, oh, they're gonna fire me. Again, bravery. The PR agency says, yeah. And then I'm like, okay. Dan Moyane is our head of PR. And it was around the time that Winnie Mandela had passed, around her funeral. I said, Dan, after tears, have a glass of whiskey next to the president and just say, hey, it would be nice if you responded, because we are taking a risk here. Sunday Times published an open letter to the president as MMI saying, we want you to count us in. The other thing we had to do, which was a big step of bravery, was to approach the chairman, because we had to decide who signs the letter. Now understand, doing this sort of thing was not normal for MMI. And the CEO as well, Mr. J.J. Njega said, absolutely, go ahead. The CEO said, absolutely, go ahead. So therein was bravery. Open letter to the president, participating in a very big conversation for the country as a conservative insurance provider. And we had a hashtag that boldly stated what we wanted to do. And we waited to see if we trended on the day. For the first time, I kept on asking my team, because I had been there for a few months, like, how do you do events and not trend? They were like, for the first time we trended. It took me and the team risking and making brave and bold decisions. So I do want to say that in pursuit of engagement, triggering conversations, and possibly impacting a culture, we have to allow ourselves to make brave decisions. And now, I'm with Charlotte in the room, when there is an idea that scares me, I freak out for a second, and then I step back and I'm like, actually, this is frightening. Why don't you go for that? And that's been fantastic for us to get engagement, particularly on social. And one of the quotes I love is a quote by a lady called Joyce Meyer. Some of you might know her, some of you might not, but she's an incredible teacher, and she talks about doing stuff afraid. So when we are in sessions with the agency, I now use the phrase and say, this is a proper do it afraid campaign. And I want to share a case study, global case study. I do apologize to
Who said that?
The lady at the store.
That is not a compliment.
Listen, it's an ugly, nasty word, and you are going to hear it. Nothing I can do about that. But you are not going to let that word hurt you. You hear me?
There are some people who think you don't deserve the same privileges just because of what you look like. It's not fair. It's not.
Remember, you can do anything they can. One says you gotta work twice as hard and be twice as smart.
Come straight home after practice. You got your ID? Guess I stopped you.
How's your review?
We're good.
You good?
Yeah,
You see?
we're good.
Okay.
Good.
Now, when you get pulled over,
I'm a good driver.
baby,
Don't worry.
this is not about you getting a ticket. This is about you not coming home.
I'm gonna be okay. Right? Okay.
It's not fair. But you keep showing up.
You are not pretty for a black girl. You are beautiful, period. Okay? Don't ever forget that.
Very, very, very powerful. Talk about biases. What I love in this quote is a line that says, our goal wasn't to get one universal piece of copy that everyone agrees with. We were trying to get content that would spark dialogue, understanding, and finally change. I think when we are afraid, sometimes it's because the risk is that we would not deliver work that will be loved and approved of by everyone. And such inspiration actually says, it's okay. You know, sometimes my boss says, I'm not the target market, I don't understand it. I'm like, you are right, you're not. Trust that we've done some thinking and we understand the strategy, and let's move on. So the next barrier for us as agency and client teams to getting to the sweet spot between strategy and content that entertains and engages our client is superficial matrix. I know there are people who obsess about measurement between the likes, the clicks, the shares, and the views, I mean, and lots of other things. In the creative process, I enjoy saying to the team, let's put all of that in the box. Take the box, put the box under the table, so you know it doesn't disappear, it's under the table. Let's solve the problem, and then get the box out, and then check ourselves against our expectations in terms of what success would look like. I was saying to the team earlier, when we were working through this, who remembers what they liked this morning? Do you remember what you liked on social this morning? Do you remember why you liked it? Do you even remember what you shared? Okay. Chances are you will remember what you made comments on and actually kind of engaged conversationally properly on. So the obsession about superficial metrics doesn't help us. The other thing is actually meaningful conversations are what winning looks like. So I've come to accept that there will be people who are trollers, who will say terrible things and hate the work we do. It's fine. I celebrate the fact that there's a conversation. And I think the fact that actually we've got to get people to stop, and a lot has been said about this, get me to stop and engage and have a conversation. It's not enough that I've liked stuff. The other thing we know, we've had this so many times, we're so busy. And actually, I say to my team sometimes, I have too many boxes in my head and they're all full. All the files are full. I don't have space for more. And I've got my children at home who come and hold on to my bags as I walk through the door. And as I soak in the bath, actually, I don't know, how many of you check your social media as you soak in the bath? How many of you take your phone to the bath? It's terrible, right? Because have you dropped your phone in the bath? I have. And that time I prayed to God, I said, I'm so sorry, I would never do it again. But I never stop. I still take my phone with me because actually there's just so much going on. Business expects us as marketing to keep pushing the marketing emails. The fights between marketing and business, especially in financial services, they never end. How many leads, how many emails, click another button, send again, no, send again. I mean, the one time when I was at Standard Bank, we had a content plan that was like, that filled, quite a big piece of this wall, plus traditional campaigns, plus, seasonal campaigns, etc. And business just doesn't stop. The reality is there's a number that's quoted. Apparently, we get about 85 emails, business emails a day. I mean, that's a low estimate. And within that are marketing emails. And if you send to 10,000 people, only about 1.5% will click. I don't know how many of the 1.5 actually take action. And the answer when you don't get the right engagement on your marketing emailers is you send more. But then does that ever change? Like, do you get a different result? No, you don't, because we're all busy. The other thing that I kind of want to reiterate is, let's not forget that it's not about the volume of emails we send out. It's about driving meaningful conversations. I love this campaign. And actually, you will understand why, because they did such a fantastic job at driving meaningful conversations. Okay, slow down. Oh, I just click. Just click. Nope. There.
It's not fair. Even when I say Lelo, I get the red line. It's a Xhosa name, and the computer always get the English name.
The line underneath, like, actually what? Whoa, that's my name.
Who decided that it should be incorrect?
Why is yours more special than mine?
You're not seen as like, it's not a real name. It's annoying. It's not uncommon names.
We should also be part of the dictionary.
Nando's, the nation's firebrand, whose name also gets the red line, wanted to fix this one name at a time. We asked people to add their names to a database.
Nando's have launched a campaign called #WriteMyName.
The American-based system see any African first name as a misspelling.
Nando's have done something really clever about this. They're calling it Write My Name.
We called on famous South Africans, presenters, politicians, and musicians to add their voice to the campaign.
Let's get rid of the red line. Today, you know what? I'm removing this. No more red lines, protect!
Then, in a media first, the nation's largest newspaper allowed us to underline names in their editorial content. The idea fired up the nation. Over 70,000 South Africans added their names to the list. Then, on the 21st of March, Human Rights Day, the names were presented to the people and made available for download. In a few simple steps, computer dictionaries across the country were made more inclusive. Less than 5% of the world have traditional English names. So Nando's launched Write My Name internationally, ensuring our technology is made more inclusive now and for the next generation.
My name is Luto and I feel proud of my name.
Right? My name is everything. And how beautiful is this insight? So when people meet me for the first time and they're like, hey, how do I shorten your name? I'm so offended. Because like, why are you not even trying? And how beautiful is it that Nando's tapped into this insight? Such a simple, I mean, we've all just accepted it. And given what they stand for, they're the brand that represents the people. They make it their business to tackle the issues that bother the people. And this was it. I Googled what are meaningful conversations. You guys must Google that. I checked it out. Here's a few things that I got. First, ask good questions that show you are engaged. How many brands ask good questions? Very few. Even when you complain to a bank, what do they say? What's the answer? So sorry, please DM us, is the easiest answer they could do. Don't waste people's time, it says. Google says, hold back on sharing how awesome you are. Don't we share how awesome we are as brands? We'll tell you why you must love us. Last, one of the few I just chose, find meaningful moments to show you truly care, from Google. Moving on, so barrier complacency, let's deal with that. Let's pursue different. What do I mean by pursuing different? Right, let me just pause so that you can be comfortable. So So when brands are doing well, complacency is just, the thing that happens. Because your market share is great, your competitors don't have as much budget as you have. Try working on a brand that has, like, when my finance director asks, what's your marketing budget? I'm like, are you forgetting you gave us 1,000 rand? So the challenge for us with Momentum was that, one, Momentum hadn't been in the market for a very long time. Think about the last time you saw Momentum, other than in cricket, okay? So we hadn't been in the market in a way that tells and explains why you should fall in love with the brand and partner with us or be a part of our family. The other challenge we had was that actually the insurance services and banking, financial services, very cluttered, with like lots going on. Sanlam, Old Mutual, Santam, even Holland are in there, lots of activity. And then the third thing was that we were perceived to be dated, old, grey Afrikaans, and haven't been evolving at all. So we appoint a new agency, the House of Brave, we sit down, we chat, and the magic they found was the power in the name, the meaning of Momentum. What does it mean? Momentum means that you are pursuing and on the go, progress, keep your energy, right? And the other truth we found was that this desire and pursuit to achieve milestones is inherent in our DNA. We were all born with it. So try putting this in the boardroom with a board that has been, those guys like birthed Momentum. Like, excuse the pun. And they like in their mid-50s going up, they looked at me like, are you mad? And I said, well, if we are in the business of human beings, which is what insurance does, protecting, securing, investing, saving for human beings, we cannot get uncomfortable with this. Because how were we all born? That's where we started. And it's the one thing that keeps us, that kind of makes us the same. So we said, let's push on with it. We love it, we believe in it, it's uncomfortable, but the personality of the brand is maverick. And Momentum had forgotten how to be maverick. It is in the DNA. Actually, some people who'd been in the business for a long time said, the founders of Momentum were once called the maverick Momentum people. So how beautiful to go back there. So what I wanted to say is there are small ways to be different or distinctive. One of the other ways, and there are big ways, this is a big way to being distinctive. The small way is for an insurance brand or a banking brand or a financial services brand to just appear as human. Avoid talking like a bank. Because banks, financial services, like intimidating. Money, highly emotional. The jargon, plenty. So the challenge to the agency often is that for us to lend work that will move people, and people are very emotional human beings, how do we talk like people? And the trust factor is quite important. When I can understand you, know that you are not trying to catch me out, then I'm likely to trust you and likely to have a conversation with you. So you can say you know the story behind the sperm and the egg. The last, sorry, I've got one more to go, but content for content's sake has got to shift to aligning to purpose. So, yeah, this idea of, somebody spoke about just, the content calendars must fall. Because I think we stop thinking and connecting with the world and externally outside of your office. And I think when we get into, we have 3 planned posts. On a Monday, we send Monday motivation. I die. In fact, my team is at fault of doing that, and I've just asked, guys, can we just slow down? Monday motivations, they're done. And then on Tuesday, we must send something about being with your broker, and then on Friday, we send something else. But then what happens when Serena loses a game? What happens? No, we don't participate in that. Why? Because actually we have a content calendar. Serena was never a part of the plan. What happens when there's a change with the finance minister? Okay, no, we ignore that because it's not a part of the content calendar. And that just goes to like, I'm like, can we just like show that we are a brand that lives in the context of this country where humans are passionate about normal human being things. And those things are not your insurance installment, or are they your banking card, or are they the petrol you put in your car? They're just normal human things. So I think we have got to get to a place of aligning and interrogating, aligning to what's happening and being plugged into what's happening externally, interrogating this safety and what do you call it, like we feel strategic when we stick to content plans. Meanwhile, we are actually losing out on engaging with people. I love this case study again because it demonstrates how Carling Blake Label did content.
Be a man. What does that mean, be a man? The truth is, most of us have learned that lesson the wrong way.
The wrong way.
What the hell is this? Fathers have taught their sons to be bold, to be brave, to be strong. Bold, brave, strong. The meaning of these words is where it's all gone wrong.
I want to be who I am.
To be bold should mean to stand up for what's right. To be brave, be true to yourself. It's what you do with your strength that makes you strong. The time to make a change is long overdue. Long overdue.
To being better.
So that our sons grow up to be better too.
Content aligned to purpose goes against everything most of us would have known about Carling Blake Label. I worked at SA Breweries for 7 years. At the time, Carling was about hard work, the strength of the beer. We would show men building, remember the stadiums, the lifting of the crate. That was what strength looked like then. The brand realized they were losing market share, they were losing relevance. The expression and the narrative around being masculine and being a man had evolved to things like this. And what I love, this gives me goosebumps because of what is going on in our country around abuse and the dialogue that has to change about what it means to be a strong man. And it's so powerful and completely unexpected. I think they got a Lurie's, not a Lurie's, Can Award for some of their work they've done here. So really, really beautiful. I'm nearing the end. Last is tilted scales. I'll explain what I mean. We've got to reclaim the balance. So remembering that this conversation is grounded on what happens in the boardroom, what happens between marketing teams and agencies and other stakeholders, what I've realized stops us from getting to a place where we can deliver relevant work that engages and entertains is the power of the C-suite. Gray suits, cigar smoking, expensive wines, cognacs, been in the business for so long. When they don't like the idea, what happens? We can it. We can it. I've been in cases where the answer is, and the CEO doesn't quite like the campaign. Or, you know, the chairman phoned after seeing a print ad and asked, why is this ad looking like this? I've presented to the board and the chairman actually got passionate about a color on a slide. And because of the projection, they're like, what color? I'm like, actually, you know, I don't know what color that is. It kind of looks blue, but it can be any color, Mr. Chairman, we'll change it. The point is there's a sprinkle of color. I think the power of the boardroom stops us from delivering amazing work, particularly because with social media, you hand over the remote control. And most of the people in the organization are scared of any negative comment. If anybody says anything, they're like, take the post down, take it down. I've literally had experiences where we've literally stopped the campaign. Now, the thing I want to share is where I have had success in balancing the scale is in the ability to tell a story that sells the idea well. If we fail to position our thinking up front and take the key stakeholders with us on the journey, they will absolutely derail our agenda. And I talk to my team about the power of storytelling and the job of selling. As you said, as marketers, we're marketing. We need to marketing, particularly if we know, like I'm a year at MMI, what are the chances that they will let me get away with, sperm and egg? But it's because I took time to explain the insight was, the business challenge is, what we know in the market is happening is, competitors are, therefore, we will look like this. And then the conversation shifts from being about a personal preference, we've never done things like this here before, to being actually, how do we sell then when we look like this? Then I'm ready with the answer. But to get the balance back, I think I would advise that we learn to tell stories and to sell our ideas. Sometimes I say to my team, you are not allowed to come back with a no. If there are many options, it's fine. Maybe it's not, sperm and egg on the billboard, but maybe it's sperm and egg on a magazine versus don't do it at all. Because I just think some ideas are too beautiful to be lost because the boardroom and the execs don't understand. If there's a case study that I wish I knew how they handled the PR around this campaign, when people were burning literally their Nike merchandise. What was encouraging, I've used it also to make my case. I've said, look, Nike has had a problem and they haven't pulled the campaign. In fact, they've had great success. We're not selling like Nike yet, but if Nike can do it, let's push through. And the thing here is to have your PR team briefed. I'm not joking, my team started a WhatsApp group they called Spermageddon. So I'm like, oh no, we've got a WhatsApp group, we're ready, Spermageddon, everybody's on it. And then I'm like, can I be in the group too? They added me, and then nothing happened. But we were ready, okay. And then, so to wrap up, 4 things. Let's be brave. Try, really. Bravery doesn't mean you will not be afraid. Think about the things that kind of make you feel like you're going to puke. If an idea is that powerful, that it makes you feel like you're going to throw up, then maybe it's the one, maybe it is. And I think if your brand is in a place that needs that, you can surprise people, but do it within the framework of your purpose. Be distinctive, absolutely. We're tired of seeing the same. Be meaningful. Remember, don't brag about what makes you special. Ask people questions, and then obviously be grounded on purpose. I want to talk as I close about what's your next. You would have seen the campaign, it's been out in the market for a while. What we wanted to do, the task here was, Standard Bank was fantastic with corporate and with investment banking, but we were not doing well with the retail client. The guys in Exco always admired Nando's, I love it. I say we have marketers in the closet because, everybody thinks they're marketers. And they always are ready with ideas. If you don't have a good idea, they'll tell you what it should be. They thought we should be like Nando's, some of them. Some of the execs were like, have you seen the new Air France ad? I'm like, Air France? Yeah, we think you should do something like that. I was like, whoa, stop the bus. I know we're all desperate. You have fantastic ideas. I will look at Air France, but allow us to go on a journey to get to our own idea, because we cannot be like Nando's. Because Nando's are Nando's for their reason. We cannot be like F&B because F&B are F&B for a reason. Let's find our own thing. We got to an insight that said because the bank positioning, Standard Bank, is about progress, focus had been on Africa. I have an uncle who's a truck driver. He doesn't really care what we do in Africa. He cares about his kids, paying his rent, paying his car installment in Richards Bay. Forget Kenya. So how do we sell a check account? How do we sell a card of a promise that says we put electricity and enable Africa to have whatever? You're not going to do it. This was it. We learned that the job of the bank is to enable nexts. A next is an indication of your progress. So let's be personal and ask our clients what their nexts are. Because whether you're applying for a car loan, a bond, a student loan, it doesn't matter. Young, old, gray, purple, you are about your next. We then had to figure out with VML around Women's Month, which we knew was obviously cluttered. Everybody goes out to market around Women's Month. How do we talk to women in a way that is relevant, that will trigger engagement, but still be anchored on what's your next? And the key insight for us, particularly around this Women's Month activation, was knowing who you are beyond the title of mother, sister, doctor enables you to get to your next. Knowing who you are enables you to get to your next. And we got women to talk about what makes them unique.
Being a woman is so many things.
Complex. Actually, let me think.
I would tell you that to be a woman is to be strong and to be confident.
For me, being a woman is walking into a room and people notice your presence without you having to say a word.
Always teach my daughter, as a woman, must be independent.
Beautiful, soft, vulnerable.
We're creators.
I've had a complex journey through life, and I'm always asking this question about what are we born with? What is innate to us, whereas what is socialized into us?
The other side of it is that when the doors close and you are done putting this face, in front of everyone, when you're by yourself, you question yourself. Am I worthy? That's the hardest question that can knock any woman on her knees.
When I self-doubt, or when I get scared, when I think that I can't do something, I put myself in situations that will teach me that I can.
It actually took me time to realize my own beauty.
I think because I always feel beautiful. I tell myself it's beautiful not outside, but inside.
When someone is true to themselves, they do what they want to do, when they want to do, how they want to do it.
I feel beautiful when I can relax and enjoy the crowd and not feel judged.
Konke ngikwenzayo ngitshena ukuthi useqophelweni kufuneka ungazenyezi ungasabi futhi.
I would tell women, don't give up on yourself. Never give up on yourself.
You live for yourself. You see, if you not live for yourself, end of the day, you are the person feel unhappy.
Most important thing you need to learn to say is no.
Most important thing in my life is achieving my dreams.
My goal is just to be the best I can possibly be. And being like, girl, you slay.
A couple of risks we took here. We did the campaign in a week. We casted 2 transgender women. We casted a gay couple. We had a lady who spoke Venek. We had a lady who didn't speak perfect English. And what a beautiful piece of work we did. So in closing, I do want to say, let's keep pursuing the sweet spot, that balance. we have a responsibility to business to deliver marketing that sells, but we equally have a responsibility to engage and entertain. I think that we have to deliver meaningful connections. And then lastly, my team laughs at me, and some people actually in the office get uncomfortable when I say, you know, sometimes you've got to put your boobs on the line as a girl. As a woman, I put my boobs on the line. I don't have balls to put on the line, right? So what do I put on the line? These babies. And I love it. Thanks, guys.